So, hello and welcome to my next Let's Play. My Let's Play of Anniversary no Kuni no Alice. So, basically in English, Alice in the Country of Anniversary. Like it sounds, it's the anniversary edition of the original Heart no Kuni no Alice. And this series is quite a dear one for me for a long time, ever since 11 years ago I first picked up the very first manga volume of a manga adaptation of this game. And ever since then I adored the series, and I have always wanted to play it. Now, I must mention that I did already play some routes of this game, namely Peter's route and Julius's route, but everyone else I haven't even touched on. Now, the reason for that is that this game is long, very long, and well, because it isn't exactly a legal copy or a legal way to play it, since Quinrose went bankrupt and you can't actually legally play this game anymore, I keep on playing other games before completing this one, despite loving it so much. And well, another reason is probably also because it isn't a straight visual novel. It's actually more the type of game where you have to work a bit to trigger the events you want. So I may cut a bit around when playing this game, in case I don't have anything interesting to say in those sections where we have to wait until we trigger the next scene. So yeah, that might be a thing that might happen. And another thing I should say before we start is, you can probably see that this game is old. And something you need to keep in mind because of this is that this game is also meant for a mature audience. It isn't exactly meant for children. And with that also comes, well, I should stop beating around the bush, but the characters can be very problematic. So if you're looking to see very wholesome guys who don't ever do anything wrong and are just perfect gentlemen, then you will probably not get that here. I mean, some may act a bit like a gentleman here and there, but all around all these characters are mad. They are not a picture of morality and shouldn't be thought of as such. They never intend. This game was never intended to be the super wholesome kind of thing. It was always meant to be let's say it in the words of another very wise person who once said that Quinrose men are all rotten to the core. So yeah, please keep that in mind while I play this game and if you are watching this Let's Play. So, and for this run, I will personally start with Boris. I haven't played this route before, and in case you don't know who Boris is the... well, he's the cat boy. The pink cat boy who looks like he shops at Hot Topic. Here down on the right corner. But yeah, let's not stall any further and actually start. I'm actually pretty excited about voicing Alice. Because, oh boy, I actually really love Alice, and voicing her is an honor. But yeah, let's get started with a rather lengthy prologue. Of course you will be Alice. I would never change your name, you are way too iconic for that. Is Alice Little okay? Yes, very much okay. Signature completed. When you want to open the system screen, right-click again to close it. Don't forget it, okay? I won't. Skip the prologue. Normally I would, but since I assume not everyone knows this game yet, let's not skip anything. And I also like the prologue. It's long, but...
ねえ、知っています？
Best boy's voice.
ゲームには常にルールがあるんです。守らなきゃいけないルール。いつだって最初から強制的に決まっていること。あなたがゲームに参加しなきゃいけないこともルール。強制的に決まっている。ねえ、こんなこと今さら説明なんてしなくてもあなたはもう知っていますよね。
Of course.
え？知らなかったって？今の説明で知ったんだから問題ないですよ。ね。ほら。
さあ、ゲームが始まるよ。
When I open my eyes, the usual scenery lies before me. A garden, flowers blooming everywhere. It's peaceful and beautiful, just like every other day. My head hurts. My head throbbed because I suddenly sat up.
あなたったらもう屋外でお昼寝なんてするからよ。
My sister, who was sitting next to me reading a book, giggled. She's so elegant. I think this blankly, my head still vague from getting up. Even though I am looking at her after waking up, my sister's beautiful. Although she might not generally be seen as a gorgeous woman, to me she shines. Her laughing voice sounds like a bird song. That might sound over the top, but I need to go that far to describe it. As you can see, Alice has a sister complex. She's totally different from me. It's hard to believe we're both women.
あなたも年頃なんだからおしとやかにしなくては。
Alice is fine just the way you are, just the way she is. Even when chiding me, she's gentle. She stayed with me in the place of our busy parents, so despite being my older sister, she's also like a mother to me. Since I didn't want to be defiant, I lightly answered yes. I wonder if I'll ever be such a mature woman as her. Probably never. I still sleep in the garden. I've got a long way to go indeed. While lying on my stomach on the ground, I looked up at my sister. This kind of position suited me. Happy simply being among beautiful things, looking up at something beautiful. I loved Sundays. Going to church early in the morning was a hassle, but the warm afternoons made up for it. The time I spent like this seemed far more sacred than church. I had a really strange dream. I spoke up while still flopped on the ground. If I don't talk, I'm probably going to doze off again.
夢？どんな？
What sort of dream? It certainly wasn't one suited for this beautiful garden. It was a dark, painful dream. I felt like I was falling into a deep darkness of the dream. Even though I knew it was a dream, somehow I felt like I wouldn't be able to return. Yet it wasn't a bad dream. That was the strange part. When I thought I couldn't go back, the emotions that welled up in me weren't despair or fear. They were relief. Dark, melancholy, and yet a very reassuring dream. Unfortunately I can't remember much. Something about a game and rules.
ゲーム？ ゲームがしたかったの？ごめんなさいね。最近本ばかり読んでいて構ってあげられなかったわね。
Eh? That's not true. Don't make that face, sister. Because your new boyfriend was a writer, my sister wanted to polish up her reading, even though she was an avid reader from the start. There was nothing wrong with reading at home. Besides, I don't want to bother my sister while she's reading, and I'm not a child who sulks because no one is paying attention to her. Upsetting her was the last thing I wanted to do.
いいえ、夢は願望の表れというわ。この前読んでいた心理学の本に書いてあったもの。確かフロイトの夢理論だったかしら。夢の意味は常に願望充足に関わっているのよ。
Let's not listen to Freud.
もちろん全てがそうとは言い切れない点もあるけど、夢は願望が象徴化されたものであることが多いのよ。
I wish they would actually show what I want. Would be nice to not get to... I don't think most of my dreams are what I want, unless being late for uni, forgetting important things and all that stuff are things I want, which I doubt. Really? You know, so many different things. I give a random response. Although I'm impressed, I can't recall anything at all about Freud. I sadly do. My sister's amazing. She's kind, smart, and happily in love. None of that applies to me. Even though we're both women, and sisters to boot, she's like a different species from me. Maybe it's because I'm near a person who could be thought of as the ideal woman, but I like the mindset of a lady. It's not that my sister didn't educate me well, it's that I ended up having no desire to compete with her. With that book you were reading today? Is it a psychology book?
この本？そうね。そうとも言えるし、そうでないとも言えるわ。童話のような、小説のような話なの。
A fairy tale? I stare blankly, surprised.
あら、バカにしたものじゃないわよ。童話や児童向けの小説には、裏に伝記や教訓が含まれているんですもの。
Well, well, what book could you be reading? I don't think it's silly. I only thought it was unusual for you to be reading a fairy tale. My sister's always reading difficult books. If I were to read those same books, I would get sleepy just at the introduction.
童話はその奥に教訓が含まれていると分かっているから簡単だけど、この本は簡単だけど難解だわ。
What do you mean?
深読みすれば奥が深いけど、深読みしちゃダメな気もするの。奥があることが明らかなのに、難しく考えちゃ奥が見えなくなるっていうか。
That does sound difficult. I see. So it's a complicated story after all. Either that, or you're just making it complicated.
どうなのかしら。私ってすぐ考えにはまっちゃうのよね。
She was so serious. Not in a ridiculous way either, in a good way. What's more, she wasn't just serious. She looked feminine even when pondering something. She could be described as cute in her seriousness. What's the story about?
ストーリー？女の子が不思議の国に迷い込むのよ。そこで不思議な冒険をするんだけど、最初はね、ウサギよ。
I cut her off with a wave of my hand. It seemed the story's a long one. Actually, I was only talking so I wouldn't fall asleep, so I had little interest in the book. I didn't want to know the details. You can leave out what happens in the middle. So, the heroine is a girl who has a lot of adventures, and then, how does it end?
最後？そんな、最後だけ知りたいだなんて。
Heresy, I know. I'm one of those people who wants to be told in advance who's the criminal in a mystery novel and what the trick is. I just want to know the summary.
あなたって子はもうその不思議の国の女王様が主人公を裁判にかけるのよ。主人公は逃げ出すの。
Were the handcuffs so loose that you could run away from the trial? What were all the security personnel doing?
そういう話じゃないのよ。必死に逃げてそこで目を覚ますの。
So it was one of those "it's all just a dream" stories.
そう言うと元も子もないけどね。
Everything went to waste. That was exactly it. To the reader, whether the heroine died or woke up, everything went to waste. That's a very cliched ending. And then?
え？
How did it end?
それが結末よ。今言ったのがラスト。
She wakes up and that's it?
そうなの。
Didn't the heroine gain anything from it? She experienced all those adventures, and yet there was no summary of how she changed psychologically?
特に描写されていないわ。主人公の心理描写でなく、お姉さんの心理描写で締めくくられるのよ。
Well, isn't that interesting?
主人公が素敵な大人になってくれるようにってお姉さんは願うの。それがこの物語の終わり方。
Huh. And that was how it concluded. I'm amazed.
童話よりは少し大人向けかしら。子供が読んで楽しめるような話じゃないかもしれないわ。貸してあげましょうか。
A tale that a child probably wouldn't enjoy reading? Then I surely wouldn't like it. That didn't sound like a story that even an adult would enjoy. Supposedly interesting or not, the synopsis alone made me lose interest. I didn't feel like reading deeply into it like my sister either. Even if she lent it to me, I would probably end up not reading it. A subtle story such as that isn't suitable for someone like me. To be honest, I also quite like books. In that one way, we were like sisters. The way we both read books a lot. However, our tastes differed. Anything with difficult words or themes would bore me. It has to be easier to understand than that.
もうまた。あなたったらいつもそんな風に。あなたはもう子供じゃないし、本当はすごく頭もいいでしょ。学校の成績もいいし、何でもそつなくこなすって先生も褒めていらっしゃったわよ。
I only do the assignments. Did you go to another of those parent-teacher conferences? It's not your responsibility, so you don't need to go.
そうはいかないわ。私はあなたの母親代わりなんですからね。あなたはそういった連絡をすぐに隠してしまうから、探し当てるのに苦労するわ。
Those gentle eyes makes me feel sheepish when they gaze at me. It's a ticklish sort of feeling. Lorena, little. She is my sister and yet a mother-like existence for me. Although my sister is young, it feels as though she's my real mother. That's how generous she is. She makes me feel like trying to play the cute younger sister too. I must fulfill her expectations. Thank you. Sorry for always causing you trouble.
何言ってるの。家族じゃない。それに面談なんて数十分のことよ。手間なんてものじゃないわ。
Really? It would be nice if father could hear that.
お父様は。
I know. I'm sorry. That's right. Father has work, so it's natural he has no time to spare for me. I'm sorry. Sarcasm is a bad habit of mine. I stuck out my tongue like a child. My older sister's expression relaxed with apparent relief, seeing that I was also reassured. Acting like a child was easier for me than acting like an adult. The clothes that are childish for my age are also to her taste. My sister thinks of me the same way as my younger sister Edith. A cute little sister. That is why she mistakenly sees everything in a favorable light. Although this conversation had saddened her, that was probably because she had misinterpreted things. Her younger sister was sulking because their father didn't pay attention to her, a small tale of sorrow. In terms of circumstances, this is indeed like a family novel. The image of a sensitive girl needing psychological help. I don't think there's zero connection between me and why sister reads psychology books. My sister misunderstands me. You know, Alice, I think you could use a visit to therapy a bit. You clearly have an inferiority complex. Sorry? I was a little disgusted to be thought of like that. In reality, I'm not as cute as that. I don't care whether my father came to the parent-teacher conference or not. It would be foolish to sulk over something like that. He works and pays for my school fees and living expenses. A father who does that is enough. My father isn't a drunk, nor is he violent. He doesn't abuse his family emotionally either. Also, I'm not at the age where I could complain a father doesn't love me, like in a tasteless family novel. Although he has little contact with his children, it isn't that he's completely indifferent to them. However, the only one my father loves is my mother. Past tense, really, loved only my mother. That's why he looks after us, because we are her children. Even though we're his own children too, it seems that he doesn't have strong feelings about it. However, considering this, he does treat us well. What I'm dissatisfied about is the trouble my sister goes through. I'm annoyed at myself for making her do this. As my sister says, I'm no longer a child. However, I must continue to be a child. I'm supported and looked after. I can't stand on my own, and my sister continues to look after me because of my often absent father. It wouldn't be strange for her to have been married by now. Despite the endless number of suitors, my sister says she doesn't want to marry until I reach an age where I no longer need a guardian. Although I tell her it's not needed, that she'll end up marrying late, I still can't leave this position where I need to be looked after. It can't be helped, because I am a child. Even though my body and mind are that of an adult, my position is that of a child's. I dislike myself for that. It can't be helped that I want to say harsh things about my father, because in the end, as he's often absent, it's his fault that my sister must be put through this trouble. Even though I understand the circumstances, I dislike them. I couldn't help but hate both those circumstances and my position. But they said that I can do everything well, huh? I interpret even the way I was praised at the meeting ironically. I can't accept it when, in reality, I needed to be looked after, and couldn't do anything to change that. The teacher said that. Were those words of praise, I wonder? I try recalling my homeroom teacher grinning internally. At school, although I get excellent grades, I'm not the honor student type. I also play pranks on the teachers and am mean to them.
学校が嫌いになったの?
Why am I like this? There's nothing good about me. Even though I don't mean it, I sadden her. I'm a burden who's only good at digging my own grave. It's not like that. I wanted to go if you let me. School is fun, the classes and my friends are refreshing.
いじめられたりしていない?
Bullied? I'm about to burst out laughing. The way my sister was seriously worried made it even funnier. My relationships with my friends are good. My sister is serious. She's serious, I can't laugh.
本当ね。
Really. My sister's worries weren't misplaced, however, she had, as I thought, misunderstood me. Our family, although not of noble descent, is wealthy. My sister stays in the house for my sake, and although she does the housework like a mother, our finances are flush enough to hire servants. Even today, a housekeeper has come to help with the housework of a large mansion. A woman busily moving around the inside of the mansion peeks out of the window from time to time. Although she's a good-hearted middle-aged woman with 4 children, she is kind of talkative. Anyway, our household is fairly rich. Even though we don't have noble status, it's not unreasonable for a household with this much money to have the children tutored at home or sent to boarding school. According to custom, I should be taught at home by a tutor, like my sister was. Maybe I should go to a boarding school, like my younger sister Edith. Or maybe... Actually, I had also had home tutors for several years. When my former tutor quit, I asked to transfer to a public school. My father had been hesitant, but my sister had persuaded him. He really shouldn't oppose her. I'm enjoying school life, really.
ならいいわ。あなたが学校に通いたいと言い出した時にはどうなることかと思ったけど。
I caused you a lot of trouble that time.
それやめてったら。家族でしょ
I was joking.
冗談に聞こえないの。あなたのは昔からどこか他人行儀で。もっと甘えてもいいのに。
That's exactly what Alice doesn't want to do. I do depend on you, right now especially. This is my way of depending on you.
嫌われてはいないと思うけど。
There's no way I would hate you. I really like you, sister. Although I had chosen the words to reassure my sister, I couldn't deny what she said. Somehow there was an area out of my reach. Even though I pretended to be cute, I really didn't know how to depend on her. I didn't know how to be liked, even more so. With a wealthy household like ours, we're sometimes invited to things like parties hosted by nobles. The lesson I learned there had convinced me I wasn't cut out for that. I'm not innocent like Edith or elegant like my older sister. But I can do it if I'm just pretending. Although I can't laugh elegantly, pretending is easy. I'm always doing it. At a gathering of important people, it wasn't difficult for me to pretend to be an adorable child, as I did when talking to my sister. On the other hand, that wouldn't pass at school. When a rich girl goes to a public school, there's resentment. There are children from lower classes in there too. People were antagonistic towards foreign elements everywhere. However, I wasn't the sort of sweet girl who would keep silent while being bullied. Although some may call endurance a virtue, I couldn't stand it. I'm not cut out for that. At school I didn't pretend to be cute, although there was also the option of taking it in stride. I dealt with it in a simpler way. If I'm hit, I hit back. If water is thrown on me, the next day I throw muddy water back. When people play pranks on me, I'll do the same to them several times over. I don't know how many times I made my bullies cry, because neither of us were in a position to tell on each other. Things went well. That's why I love you, Alice. Since my temperament matched the general tone, I was accepted, and now I had many friends. Now, no one around me talks about my family. I don't talk about my family either. Being at school is fun, and playing pranks every day on the teachers who didn't help me when I started out is most enjoyable. Since my grades are good, and they felt a sense of obligation for having left me alone, they didn't say anything. The teachers probably wanted it difficult to handle a girl from the affluent classes to quickly leave school by herself. But I wasn't so weak that I would return home crying. Now I could confidently say that I had fit in. I enjoyed the small mischiefs and silly conversations every day. School is fun, very much so. I'm really grateful to you for letting me go. While grinning inside my heart, I beamed a charming smile at my sister. Cute, or at least it should be. If she doesn't see through it to what's underneath. Thankfully, even my sister who studied psychology can't read minds. She returns a gentle smile. It's as I thought.
何？
Nah, nothing. She's totally different from me.
あなたも大人になってしまうのね。少し寂しいわ。
What are you saying? I'm still a child.
隠し事をし始めるようになったら、もう大人だわ。
That's not... You're wrong. I'm not hiding anything. I put strength into my denial. She's wrong. It's not because I'm becoming an adult. I've always been this way. Ever since my childhood, I've been like this. I'm different from my sister in everything. We weren't alike at all.
いいですのように寄宿舎に住んでいるわけではないけど、最近はあなたとの間にも距離を感じるわ。
It's probably the deepening rift of Alice's inferiority complex towards you. For her to have been feeling this only recently, she's too
こ
relaxed.
うして私と日曜の午後を過ごしてくれるのもいつまでかしら。
Always. Always, up until the day I leave this house. I spend my time after school on weekdays and on Saturdays with my friends. On Sunday, I spend time with my sister. I have no other
い
plans.
つかあなたにも素敵な人が現れて、私なんて構ってくれなくなるわ。
She looks at me with both sadness and expectation. Don't look at me like that. My sister and I are totally different. But they will probably never come.
あなたが恋人をこの家に連れてくる日が今から楽しみだわ。
Well, Alice, you are the protagonist of an otome game, even if the men are rotten. That alone is impossible. You should realize it already. My sister again misinterprets me, conveniently, when I turn my gaze away. She must have thought I was blushing.
こうして過ごせるのも今のうちだけね。そうだ、今からゲームをしましょうか。
Eh?
夢に見るくらいだもの、よっぽどやりたいんでしょ。付き合うわ。何がいい？チェス？オセロ？
Fine. Really, it wasn't that I wanted to play a game. Sister, you probably want to continue reading, don't you? Although my sister's being considerate of me, I wasn't being contrary. I really didn't want to play a game. I don't want to play a game. The dream before had been, rather than a desire, more of an obligation. Yes, in the dream it wasn't me wanting to play a game, but needing to.
釣れないことを言わないで、ゲームは一人じゃできないのよ。せっかくだから久しぶりにゲームをしましょう。
I may not be able to do it alone, but it's not like I have any need to.
ボードゲームが面倒なら気軽にカードゲームはどうかしら。そうね、カードゲームにもいろいろあるけどシンプルにトランプなんかは？
Trumps? Trump. My heart leapt.
どう？トランプなら遊び方もバリエーションがあるし。
That's right, then cards. Trumps are fine. It felt as if everything inside my body had become a heart. My pulse throbbed. Yes, I have to play trumps. That is a rule.
え？何か言った？
Did I say something? My eyelids drop, as if I become sleepy again. The weather is to blame.
嫌だわ。まだ寝ぼけているのね。 トランプは私が取ってきてあげるわ。待っている間に寝ちゃダメよ。
My sister put a bookmark in the book and lightly stood up. Yes, I'll wait. Since I'm waiting... Although I had been warned against it, as soon as my sister goes off into the house, I begin to nod off. Since the trumps are stored in the same place as the board games, it will definitely take some time to find them. Long ago, we often played with them together as a family, long ago. When my mother was alive, often. Yeah, Alice, I think you're not holding out. Although my sister is searching for the trumps for me, and I am thinking that nodding off would make me a terrible sister, I can't stop. My sight is growing vague again. The warm afternoon garden, the scent of the grass, and gentle sunlight. These are the best conditions for sleeping, so my eyelids grow heavy. The usual scenery, a garden with flowers blooming. Peaceful, beautiful, the usual everyday sights. The butterflies flutter and a cloaked rabbit runs. The usual everyday sights. Rabbit? A rabbit wearing clothes is running. If that's normal, that would be weird. I'm getting up. My head hurts because I got up so quickly. Again. My head's swimming, I collapse. Maybe it's low blood pressure, my head hurts. Never mind about the rabbit. Since there are many rabbits, even if one of them was wearing clothes, it's not that strange. I'm tired, let's sleep.
で、そこ追いかけるところですよ。何無視しているんです。ウサギを追いかけなきゃダメでしょ。
The rabbit talks. However, well, there are many rabbits. Even if one of them wears clothing and talks too, it's not really that unusual. Alice, you are very, very sleepy. No, it is pretty bizarre. I'm really tired. I'm going to sleep.
こらこら、若いうちからそんなに無気力じゃ将来は暗いですよ。
There are many rabbits, even if one of them wears clothes, and on top of that talks, and on top of that bothers me. That's not really that strange. I'm sleeping. I can only sleep. I'm tired. This clearly smells like trouble. Honestly, I don't want to get involved.
無視しないでくださいって。ほら、僕追いかけないと。
Good. Good. I'm trying the standard pretend to sleep routine where I do when my sister is scolding me. Gradually, I really am becoming sleepy. Soon, I really fall asleep. It's not nice to my sister, but I'm at my limit. If I'm beginning to hallucinate and hear things, she should wake me later. In the warm sunlight, I'm not able to tell how much of this is a dream. The talking rabbit was definitely a dream too. It's not reality. I feel as though I'm floating gently in the space. Forgetting that I was pretending to sleep, I opened my eyes. In front of me is not the rabbit that had been there before, but a young man, with a slightly intellectual air to him. His charm point is rabbit ears. Hello, favorite character. Eh?
耳元で叫ばないでくださいよ。
The intellectual-looking young man's rabbit ears twitched. Certainly, if someone right next to him were to scream into his large ears, it would be bothersome. Him being too close is the problem. Sorry, let me down? Even when it's not my fault, I reflexively end up apologizing. A young man with rabbit ears was sufficiently unusual, but to be picked up by the young man was even more unusual. For a maiden, being carried by a handsome young man is a situation where she will blush prettily. That is, if she were to ignore his rabbit ears.
着いたら下ろしてあげます。さあ、行きますよ。
The young man is walking towards a hole while still carrying me. A hole? What? Why is this stupidly large hole in our garden?
さて、なんででしょう。
Yeah, why? Why, I said. Why?
さてさて、なんででしょうね。
I had never seen a hole as large and deep as this one. I couldn't see the bottom. There shouldn't be a hole like this in our garden. Who dug it and when? I didn't notice this at all.
なぜここに穴があるかはともかくとして、穴があったら飛び込まなくては。
What? What are you saying, you?
えい！
The young man, without any hesitation, jumps into the hole, while still holding me. I'm flying into a hole. Suddenly, I'm falling. I'm falling. Falling even more. Yeah. Certainly, I might be a little bit lazy, but I don't want to hurt myself or commit suicide. I don't want to be with a suicidal rabbit.
耳元で叫ばないでくださいってば。僕だって自殺願望なんてありませんよ。自殺ウサギなんてひどいです。
Although the young rabbit man objected, I can't properly argue with him. We're falling with great force. My stomach grew cold. Yeah!
うるさいですよ。耳がキンキンします。穴の中は響くんですからね。お静かにお願いします。
You're the noisy one, you cosplaying rabbit man, you pervert! Just because you're a little good looking, you had the guts to kidnap me and now you're forcing me to commit double suicide? What a crime!
コスプレ。変質者ってひど。自殺ウサギとか変質者とかひどいです。僕はあなたのことが好きなのに。
You're not helping your case, Peter. He likes me? With this sudden confession, it was now definite that he was a pervert. Isn't it true? If you're not an ordinary pervert, then you are a perverted rabbit. However you put it, you're a shady person. Shady rabbit.
不審ウサギ？なんですかそれは。違いますよ。僕は時間に細かい真面目で誠実なウサギさんなんです。
That's a good joke. A pure-hearted rabbit wouldn't drop a girl into a hole.
Hmm. それはそうかも。
That's right. You're no pure-hearted rabbit. Wait, how would a pure-hearted rabbit behave in the first place? I'm not acquainted with any rabbits. I have nothing to compare him to. Unless you have the most interesting inner monologues. That's only natural. Yep, it's totally normal. Why would I know any rabbits? At most, I have friends who keep pet rabbits. I don't know any rabbits who talk, take human form, or argue. This is a dream. This is a dream. This is a dream. This is a dream. I keep saying so to myself while I fall. This is a dream. This must be a dream. I want it to be a dream.
夢じゃない。
Sorry. The rabbit easily crushed my hopes. It's a dream. If it's not a dream, then aren't I going to die?
死ぬ？
One of his ears moves. Even if he made that cute gesture, it isn't cute at all. It was more repulsive than my pretending to be cute. I'm obviously going to die after falling down into a hole like this. When I hit the earth, my life is going to end. I'll die in a second. The wind blows against my body as we fall. I was falling so much. I've been falling for a long time, and I'm continuing to fall. I can't imagine how deep this hole is. I don't want to. Although it seems to be a bottomless pit, no matter how deep it is, at some point I'll reach the bottom. If this isn't a dream, I'll definitely die.
そんなものですかね。ああ、でもそうですね。人間だったら死んじゃうかもしれませんね。僕はウサギだから死にやしませんけど。
You have wonderful logic, my boy. Even a rabbit would die. It's impossible that simply being a rabbit would save you from falling down a hole this big.
この程度の穴で死ぬわけがありませんって。
This level? If this hole is only this level, any hole would be this level.
そうですよ、この程度。あ、そろそろ着きますね。
Huh? No, I don't want to die yet.
なんです？まだ着きたくないんですか？
Rather than saying I don't want to arrive, what I want is to be safe. With a hole of this depth, arrival equals death. I don't want to arrive. I don't want to continue to fall, but I also don't want to arrive at the bottom, because I don't want to die.
あ、落ちるのにハマっちゃったんでしょ。
Addicted?
そうですよね。落ちていくのって楽しいですよね。
No.
僕もいつまでも落ちていたい気分になることがありますよ。スーッとしてすっきりするっていうか。
You're way too stimulated. There's no way someone could get addicted to this. I want to knock down the rabbit saying these idiotic things. If our feet were on the ground, I would have definitely done that. It's so stimulating that I'm turning green. It's not at all head clearing. I feel like I'm going to
あ
die.
なたと一緒だと余計に楽しい。僕もハマりそうです。
Having heard this casual remark, I become even paler. Pervert. Double suicide with a pervert. I don't want a curtain to come down on my life like this.
いつまでも落ちていたいっていう気持ちはわかりますけど、そうはいきません。
I didn't say that.
つきますよ。
I close my eyes. I can imagine my splattered form. Come to think of it, it was a short life. It's said that when people die, they are absorbed in their memories and regret their lingering attachment. But nothing much comes to mind. My sister Lorena would be sad. Sad, but in the future she will probably meet some man, marry him, and build a happy home with him. She won't forget her dead sister, but put my photo in a new house. My younger sister Edith, she would probably cry noisily, but she would recover quickly also. Her eyes would be swollen, and on the next day she would be able to get over it. My father, it was strange to wonder whether he would cry or not. Ever since my mother had died, my father had become a workaholic and is hardly ever at home. I can't remember how long it's been since I've seen him. The last time we had a proper conversation is far in the past. My father, who works from dusk to dawn, as if he were insane, may be a failure as a father, but perhaps he was the best kind of husband. He doesn't think at all of remarriage. I'm jealous. I hate him, I pity him, I envy him. Having been bound to the person he loved so much that he will lose his mind after losing her. My father's world became ashen after the loss of my mother. Alice, you have so interesting thoughts while falling to your death. Even if I die, nothing will change about the world. Even if I die, no one will go mad. As for regrets, I regret that I don't have any. There aren't any people I feel uneasy about leaving. There's no one who would go insane without me. It's impossible for me. For me, definitely, in all eternity. I can't become like my mother or elder sister.
はい、到着。
There was a large bounce. I felt like I had landed on a huge trampoline. Although it should have been like a bottomless pit, there wasn't much impact. That was out of the question. Amazing springs. I'm shocked. Although I thought I would be falling for a long time, perhaps my senses had been scrambled by fear. Was the hole shallower than I thought? When I opened my eyes, there was... Where is this place? And this is where we'll end the part. So hopefully you enjoyed the first part of the prologue, which in all honesty is, you could say, the most boring part of the prologue. It is very interesting to see into the mind of Alice, though, since all this characterization for her is pretty important. She is a full-fledged character with a lot of insecurities and a troubled past. So this was a good way to introduce her, I think. So then, until next time, we will continue the prologue and see where Alice has ended up in. So until then, goodbye!